The transport ship shook as it dropped out of faster-than-light travel. Megan Cole grabbed the metal rail above her bunk and held on until the shaking stopped. Around her, 11 other human recruits did the same thing. None of them spoke. They had learned quickly that talking brought attention, and attention was never good on Zoltari ship. Megan was 28 years old. She had short brown hair, average height, and a body built more for endurance than strength. Nothing about her appearance stood out. That was exactly how she wanted it. She had joined the Galactic Coalition military 6 months ago to escape Earth and find something new. So far, she had found only cold metal walls and alien officers who looked at humans the way humans looked at insects. The door to the barracks slid open with a hiss. A Zoltari officer stepped inside. He was tall, nearly 7 feet, with dark green scales covering his entire body. His eyes were yellow with black slits for pupils. He wore the silver uniform of the Coalition military, and 3 golden marks on his shoulders showed his rank: Commander Rex Torres. Every human on the ship knew his name. Every human feared it. "Stand up," Rex said. His voice was deep and rough, like rocks grinding together. "Inspection in 5 minutes. Anyone who fails will clean the waste systems for a week." He turned and walked out without waiting for a response. The humans scrambled to their feet and began preparing. Megan moved calmly, folding her blanket with precise movements and arranging her small collection of belongings in perfect order. Danny Shaw, the young man in the bunk next to hers, leaned close. He was 24, with messy blonde hair and nervous eyes. "He's been watching you," Danny whispered. "I've seen him staring during meals." "That's not good, Megan." "I know," she said quietly. 3 humans have disappeared since Rex took command of this unit," Danny continued. "All accidents, according to the reports. Fell into machinery. Got lost during training. One supposedly walked out an airlock by mistake." Megan straightened her uniform collar. "I said I know." Danny grabbed her arm. "Then do something. Act scared. Act stupid. Give him what he wants. These Zoltari officers, they hate humans who don't break. It makes them angry." Megan looked at Danny for a long moment. She had grown to like him over the past few weeks. He was kind, in a nervous sort of way. He reminded her of the young interns who used to work at her facility back on Earth. They were always scared too at first. "Fear is a choice," she said. "I stopped choosing it a long time ago." Before Danny could respond, Rex returned with 2 other Zoltari officers. All 3 were larger than any human in the room. Their scales gleamed under the harsh lights, and their clawed hands hung at their sides like weapons waiting to be used. The inspection began. Rex moved down the line of bunks, examining each human space with obvious disgust. He found problems everywhere. A blanket folded wrong, a boot slightly out of position, a water container with a single drop on the outside. Each time, he made the human responsible stand in front of everyone while he listed their failures. His voice dripped with contempt. The other Zoltari officers laughed at every insult. When he reached Megan's bunk, he stopped. His yellow eyes scanned her belongings. Everything was perfect. The blanket was folded with sharp edges. Her boots were aligned exactly. Her uniform was clean and pressed. Rex frowned. He picked up a small datapad from a shelf and examined it. "What is this?" "My personnel file, Commander," Megan said. Her voice was steady and calm. He activated the screen and read through it. His frown deepened. Then, suddenly, he laughed. It was an ugly sound, like metal scraping against metal. "Animal handling," he read aloud. "Your previous occupation on Earth was animal handling." He turned to the other officers. "We have a pet keeper among us." The Zoltari laughed again. One of them made a clucking sound, imitating what they thought Earth chickens sounded like. Tell me, human, Rex said, leaning down until his face was inches from Megan's. Did you feed the little creatures? Did you clean their waste? Did they do tricks for you? Megan met his gaze without flinching. Something like that, Commander? Rex's smile faded slightly. He had expected her to look away. Humans always looked away when a Zolthri got close. But this one just stared back at him with calm brown eyes, like she was studying him, like she was examining a specimen. You think you're brave, Rex said softly. You think because you don't show fear, you are strong. But you are wrong, little human. You are weak. Your entire species is weak. You have no claws, no fangs, no venom. You are prey animals pretending to be something more. Megan said nothing. Rex straightened up and addressed all the humans. Tomorrow we arrive at the border station. You will be assigned to forward scouting duties. This is a great honor. His voice made it clear that it was not an honor at all. Try not to die too quickly. It makes the paperwork complicated. He walked toward the door, then paused. He looked back at Megan one more time. There was something in his eyes now. Something calculating. Something hungry. The pet keeper, he said quietly. I will remember you. Then he was gone. That night, Megan lay in her bunk and stared at the ceiling. She could hear Danny tossing and turning nearby. She could hear the hum of the ship's engines and the distant clang of metal from somewhere. Deep in the vessel Dot, she thought about Earth, about the facility where she had worked for 10 years, about the creatures she had trained there. Tigers that could crush a human skull with one bite. Bears that weighed 1,000 pounds and moved faster than most people could run. Crocodiles older than civilization itself, with jaws strong enough to snap bones like twigs. The Zolthri thought they knew what predators were. They thought their claws and scales made them dangerous. They had no idea what waited on the little blue planet called Earth. They had no idea what humans had survived alongside for 200,000 years. Rex thought she was a pet keeper. Let him think that. Let him believe she spent her days feeding goldfish and brushing rabbits. The truth would come out eventually. It always did. Megan closed her eyes and slept peacefully while the ship carried her toward whatever Rex had planned. She had faced worse things than arrogant aliens with scales and bad attitudes. Much worse that tomorrow would be interesting. 3 days passed on the burning dawn. Each day was the same. Wake up, inspection, work duty, sleep. The human recruits were given the worst jobs on the ship. Cleaning the floors, carrying heavy supplies, crawling through tight spaces to repair wires and pipes that the larger aliens could not reach. Megan did her work without complaint. She kept her head down and her mouth shut. But she noticed everything. She noticed the way Rex watched her during meals. She noticed the quiet conversations he had with his officers. She noticed the way they looked at her and smiled with too many teeth. Something was coming. She could feel it the same way she used to feel when a predator was about to strike. There was an energy in the air, a tension. The moment before violence always had a special quality to it. On the 4th morning, Rex called her name during inspection. Cole, he said. Report to Cargo Bay 7. There is a supply container that needs to be moved to the lower decks. You will handle it alone. Danny stepped forward slightly. Commander, the regulations say humans should work in pairs on the lower decks. For safety. Rex turned his yellow eyes toward Danny. The young man froze under that gaze like a mouse spotted by a snake. Are you questioning my orders, human? Danny swallowed hard. No, Commander. I was mistaken. I apologize. Rex smiled. Yes, you were mistaken. He looked back at Megan. Cargo Bay 7, now. Megan nodded and walked toward the door. As she passed Danny, she touched his hand briefly. A small gesture. A goodbye, maybe. Or a reassurance. She was not sure which. The lower decks of the Burning Dawn were darker than the rest of the ship. The lights here were dim and spaced far apart. The air was colder. Strange sounds echoed through the metal corridors. Growls and hisses from somewhere deeper in the ship. Megan knew what was down here. Every recruit knew. The Coalition kept dangerous animals on their military vessels for various purposes. Hunting, intimidation, execution. She found cargo. Bay 7 at the end of a long corridor. The door was already open. Inside, the room was mostly empty. No supply containers. No equipment. Just a large circular platform in the center of the floor with a heavy metal cover. A pit. Megan stopped at the entrance. She understood now. This was not a work assignment. This was a trap. Come in, pet keeper. Rex's voice came from above. Megan looked up and saw an observation platform near the ceiling. The commander stood there with 4 other Zoltari officers. They looked down at her with cruel amusement in their eyes. "We have a problem," Rex said. "You see, our Garrics have not been fed in almost a week. They are very hungry. And unfortunately, we seem to have run out of their usual food supply." The other officers laughed. "But then I remembered," Rex continued. "We have something else on this ship. Something soft and weak and full of meat. Something that nobody would miss if it disappeared." Megan did not run. There was nowhere to run. The door behind her had closed automatically. She was locked in. "You have been found guilty of insubordination," Rex announced, his voice taking on a formal tone. "The punishment is correction. May this serve as a lesson to all humans who forget their place." He pressed a button on the railing in front of him. The floor beneath Megan's feet opened. She fell. The drop was about 20 feet, and she landed hard on packed dirt. The impact knocked the breath from her lungs, but nothing was broken. She had fallen from higher places before. Training accidents. Equipment failures. The chaos of working with large animals. She got to her feet and looked around. The pit was circular, about 50 feet across. The walls were smooth metal, impossible to climb. Above, the Zoltari officers watched from their platform like spectators at a show. A gate on the far side of the pit began to open. Metal grinding against metal. A sound came from the darkness beyond. Low growling. The click of claws on stone. The Garrics emerged. There were 6 of them. Each one was the size of a large horse, but built like a predator. 6 legs ending in curved claws. Bodies covered in scales that shifted colors as they moved. Long heads with jaws full of fangs that dripped with something wet and shiny. Venom, probably. They spread out across the pit, circling Megan slowly. Their eyes were fixed on her. Hungry eyes. They had not eaten in days, and she was small and alone and trapped. Rex leaned over the railing. His smile was wide and satisfied. He called down to her with a voice full of mockery. "Die now, chicken." The officers laughed again. This was entertainment to them. A weak human torn apart by beasts. They had probably done this before. They would probably do it again. Megan stood still in the center of the pit. She watched the Garruk circling her. 6 predators. Pack hunters from the way they moved. The largest one, the Alpha, was directly in front of her. The others were spreading out to flank her from the sides. Classic pack behavior. Surround the prey. Cut off escape routes. Let the Alpha make the first strike while the others wait to finish. Whatever is left. Megan had seen this pattern 1,000 times before. Lions did it. Wolves did it. Hyenas did it. Every pack hunter on Earth used the same basic strategy because it worked. But Megan knew something that these creatures did not know. Something that Rex and his officers could never understand. She was not prey. She had spent 10 years on Earth working with predators. Real predators. Animals that had evolved on a death world where everything was dangerous. Tigers, bears, crocodiles, wolves. She had trained them, handled them, earned their respect through patience and strength and understanding. The Garrics were impressive, but they were not special. They were just another type of predator, and predators all followed the same rules. Megan planted her feet firmly on the ground. She lowered her center of gravity. She squared her shoulders and lifted her chin. Then she looked directly into the eyes of the alpha. GHAR rocks. In the language of predators. That was a challenge. A statement. A declaration. I am not afraid of you. The alpha growled louder. It began to move toward her, muscles tensing for the attack. Above, the Zoltari officers leaned forward eagerly. The show was about to begin. They had no idea what they were about to see. The Alpha Garrics charged. It moved fast, faster than anything that Psi should be able to move. Its 6 legs pushed off the ground with explosive power, and its jaws opened wide to reveal rows of venomous fangs. Megan did not run. Running triggered the chase instinct in predators. Once you ran, you became prey. Instead, she waited until the last possible moment, then stepped to the side. Her hand shot out as the creature passed. She struck its snout with her open palm. Not hard enough to hurt. Just hard enough to get its attention. Just hard enough to say something in the language that all predators understood. No. The alpha skidded to a stop, dirt spraying from its claws. It turned back to face her, confusion visible in its eyes. This was not how prey was supposed to behave. Prey ran. Prey screamed. Prey tried to escape. This creature had done none of those things. Above, the laughter had stopped. The Zoltari officers were watching with different expressions now. Surprise, uncertainty. Rex's smile had faded into something harder and colder. The alpha growled and approached again. Slower this time. More cautious. It was testing her, trying to understand what she was. Megan held her ground. She kept her eyes locked on the creature's face, watching for the small signs that every predator gave before an attack. The tensing of muscles, the shift in weight, the dilation of pupils. The alpha lunged. Megan moved. She caught its jaw with both hands, using its own momentum against it. She twisted her body and redirected the creature's charge, slamming it down onto the dirt. Before it could recover, she pressed her knee against its neck and held it there. 1 second. 2 seconds. 3 seconds. In predator psychology, this was everything. Dominance was not about killing. Dominance was about control. Holding another predator down, even for a few seconds, established a hierarchy. It said, I could end this, but I choose not to. Megan released the alpha and stepped back. The creature rose slowly. It shook dirt from its scales and looked at her with new eyes. Then, slowly, it lowered its head. Not in defeat. In acknowledgement. In respect, the other 5 Garrics had stopped moving. They watched their leader submit to this small, soft creature with no claws and no fangs. They did not understand what had happened, but they understood what it meant. The pack had a new alpha. One by one, the other Garrics approached Megan. She let them come. She touched each one gently on the snout, establishing contact, letting them learn her scent and her presence. They responded to her calmness. Predators could sense fear, and they could sense its absence. This human had no fear. She had only certainty. Within minutes, all 6 Garrics were sitting around her like trained dogs. Their tails swished against the dirt. Their growling had turned into something softer, almost like purring. The pit was silent except for that sound. Megan looked up at the observation platform. Rex was gripping the railing so hard that his claws had left marks in the metal. His yellow eyes were wide with something she had never seen in them before. Fear. On Earth, Megan said, her voice calm and clear. "I trained animals that would eat your Garrux for breakfast." She raised her hand and made a simple gesture. All 6 Garrus stood up at the same time. She made another gesture, and they formed a line behind her. Another gesture, and they sat down again. "Earth is what the Coalition classifies as a Category 12 death world," Megan continued. "Everything there is dangerous. The plants are poisonous. The insects carry disease. The weather can kill you in 100 different ways. And the predators," she smiled slightly, "the predators are the best in the galaxy." A door at the edge of the pit opened. Lieutenant Kira Voss stepped through, her sidearm drawn. She had been alerted to the unauthorized use of the beast containment area and had rushed down to investigate. She stopped when she saw Megan standing calmly among 6 supposedly untamable alien predators. "What the hell?" Kira said softly. Behind her, Danny Shaw appeared in the doorway. He had followed the lieutenant, desperate to see what had happened to his friend. His mouth fell open when he saw the scene before him. "She's alive," he whispered. "She's actually alive." Kira lowered her weapon and looked up at the observation platform. "Commander Vrex, you are ordered to remain where you are. Coalition Command has been notified of this incident. You will explain why a human recruit was thrown into a beast pit without authorization." Vrex's scales had turned a pale shade of green. He looked sick, scared. His officers were already stepping away from him, putting distance between themselves and their commander. "It was a malfunction," Rex said. His voice had lost its confidence. "The floor controls malfunctioned. This was an accident." "The ship's computer logs everything," Kira said, "including manual overrides from your personal console." Rex said nothing. There was nothing to say. Megan walked toward the door where Kira and Danny stood. The Garrux followed her like loyal pets. Their claws clicked against the floor in a steady rhythm. Danny stared at her as she approached. "How did you do that? How is this possible?" Megan stopped beside him. The Alpha Garrux stood at her shoulder, its massive head nearly as high as her own. It looked at Danny with intelligent eyes, but made no move to attack. It would not attack anyone unless Megan told it to. "Humans have been living with predators for 200,000 years, Megan said. "We learned their languages. We learned their rules. We learned how to earn their respect." She looked back at the creatures following her. "These are just predators. Dangerous, yes, but not more dangerous than what I worked with back home." Kira holstered her weapon and activated her communicator. "This is Lieutenant Voss. I need a security team to Cargo Bay 7 immediately. We have a situation involving Commander Vrex that requires immediate attention." She paused. "Also, please notify Coalition Command that we have discovered a human with extremely unusual capabilities. They are going to want to see this." Danny was still staring at Megan. "You were so calm this whole time. The inspections, the insults, the threats. You never seemed scared because I wasn't," Megan finished. "Rex thought he was the predator in this situation. He thought I was the prey." She shook her head slowly. "He was wrong." Above them, Rex was being surrounded by security officers who had arrived through another entrance. He did not resist as they took his weapons and placed him in restraints. His yellow eyes stayed fixed on Megan the entire time. He had wanted to watch her die. Instead, he had watched her do the impossible. The pet keeper had turned out to be something much more dangerous than any alien could have imagined. The news spread across the burning dawn within hours. The human who tamed the Garrux. The pet keeper who survived the beast pit. Every alien on the ship was talking about it. Every human was celebrating quietly in the barracks, careful not to show too much emotion so 3 officers might see. Megan sat in the medical bay while a 4-armed Talaxian doctor examined her. The doctor's name was Helix, and his species was known throughout the Coalition for their medical expertise. He scanned her body with various instruments, took samples of her blood, and checked her vital signs with growing confusion. "You have no injuries," Helix said. "Not a single scratch. The Garrux are apex predators from Corax 7. They have never failed to kill their prey. In 300 years of Coalition records, no one has survived being thrown into a pit with them." Megan sat still while he worked. "They weren't trying to kill me at the end. They accepted me." "Accepted you?" Helix's four hands stopped moving. "These creatures do not accept anything. They hunt, they eat, they sleep. That is all they do." "That's what you believe," Megan said. "But predators are more complicated than that. They have social structures, hierarchies. They respect strength and dominance. If you can communicate in their language, you can earn their loyalty." Helix blinked all four of his eyes. "And you learned this language on Earth?" "I learned it from tigers, bears, wolves, crocodiles." Megan listed the names casually, as if she was talking about common household pets. "Earth predators are some of the most dangerous creatures in the known galaxy. If you can work with them, you can work with anything." The door to the medical bay opened, and Lieutenant Kira Voss walked in. She had changed out of her combat gear and now wore a formal Coalition uniform with her rank insignia displayed prominently. Behind her came Danny Shaw, who looked like he had not slept since the incident. "How is she?" Kira asked Helix. "Physically perfect," the doctor replied. "Mentally, I am less certain. She appears to believe that she can communicate with predatory animals through body language and dominance displays." "She can," Kira said. "I watched her do it. We all did." Helix made a sound that might have been disbelief or might have been wonder. It was hard to tell with the ELLAXIAN stot. Kira dismissed the doctor and sat down across from Megan. Danny stood nearby, fidgeting nervously. "Coalition Command has been informed of everything," Kira said. "Rex is in detention, awaiting court-martial. The other officers who participated are being questioned. The ship's logs confirmed that Rex manually opened the floor beneath you. This was attempted murder, and he will face the full consequences of Coalition law." Megan nodded. She felt no satisfaction at Rex's punishment. He was just another predator who had miscalculated. The galaxy was full of them. "There's something else," Kira continued. "Word of what you did has reached beyond this ship. Admiral Zin Korath, the commander of the entire Coalition fleet in this sector, has requested a demonstration of your abilities. She wants to see for herself what a human can do with the Garrux." Danny stepped forward. "Is that safe? Putting Megan on display like some kind of circus act?" Kira held up a hand. "It's not about entertainment. The Coalition has been using creatures like the Garrux for centuries, but we've never been able to truly control them. We keep them locked up, starving and angry, and release them when we want something dead. If there's a better way," she looked at Megan with something that might have been hope. "If humans can actually communicate with these creatures, actually work with them instead of just using them as weapons, that changes everything." Megan considered this. She thought about her years at the facility on Earth, the long hours spent learning how each animal thought, the patience required to build trust, the respect that had to be earned, never demanded. "I can demonstrate," she said, "but I want something in return." Kira raised an eyebrow. "Name it. I want my background officially recognized. Animal handling isn't a joke. It's not cleaning cages and feeding pellets to rabbits. It's a serious discipline that requires years of training and natural talent. If the Coalition wants to learn from humans about this, they need to start by respecting what we know." Kira smiled. It was the first genuine smile Megan had seen from her since they met. "I think that can be arranged." That evening, Megan was allowed to visit the Garrux in their containment area. The creatures recognized her immediately. The Alpha approached the barrier between them and pressed its snout against the transparent wall. It made a low sound, almost like a greeting. Danny watched from a safe distance. "I still can't believe it. I thought you were dead, Megan. When that floor opened and you fell, I thought I was watching you die." Megan placed her hand against the wall, matching the position of the Alpha's snout. "You grew up on Earth, Danny. You know what our planet is like. You know what lives there." "I know, but—" Danny shook his head. "I never thought about it like this. I never realized that what we consider normal back home is actually extraordinary out here in the galaxy." "That's because we're used to it," Megan said. "We grow up surrounded by danger. Poisonous spiders in our houses. Bacteria that can kill in hours. Weather that changes without warning. Predators in our forests and oceans and deserts. We think it's normal because we've never known anything else." She turned to face Danny directly. "But it's not normal. Earth is one of the most dangerous planets in the Coalition's records. And humans are the species that conquered it. Not with superior strength or natural weapons, but with intelligence and adaptability, and the ability to understand our environment." Danny was quiet for a moment. Then he laughed softly. "Rex called you chicken. He thought he was insulting you." Megan smiled. "On Earth, we raise chickens. We breed them. We control them completely. When humans call something chicken, we're not comparing ourselves to prey. We're comparing ourselves to the species that domesticated prey. Does Rex understand that now?" "I think he's starting to." The Alpha Garax made another sound through the barrier. It was waiting for Megan. It wanted her attention. It had found something it had never encountered before, a creature it respected, and it did not want to let that go. Megan pressed her hand against the wall one more time. Tomorrow, she would show the Coalition what humans could really do. She would demonstrate skills that had been developed over thousands of years of living, alongside Earth's most dangerous creatures, and maybe, just maybe, she would change how the entire galaxy viewed her species. The pet keeper from Earth was about to become something much more important. Coalition Central Station was the largest structure Megan had ever seen. It hung in space like a small moon, covered with lights and docking ports and communication arrays that blinked constantly with signals from 1,000 different worlds. Ships of every size moved around it in carefully controlled patterns, bringing soldiers and diplomats and traders from across the galaxy. The assembly arena at the station center could hold 50,000 spectators. Today, it held representatives from 12 different species, all gathered to witness something that had never happened before. A human demonstrating control over creatures that the Coalition had classified as uncontrollable. Megan stood at the entrance to the arena floor. She wore a simple uniform without rank or insignia. Behind her, in a reinforced holding area, the 6 Garax waited. She could hear them moving restlessly, sensing the crowd above, the thousands of alien eyes watching. Danny Shaw stood beside her. He had been assigned as her assistant, a promotion from expendable recruit to something resembling an actual position. He looked nervous. "There are a lot of people out there," he said. "They're not people I need to impress," Megan replied. "The only ones whose opinions matter are behind us." She gestured toward the Garax. The Alpha was watching her through the barrier, its intelligent eyes tracking her every movement. Lieutenant Kira Voss approached from a nearby corridor. "Admiral Zimnan Korath is in the primary observation box. She's watching closely. So are representatives from the Zolthari High Council, the Talaxian Medical Assembly, and about a dozen other governing bodies." "Good," Megan said. "They should watch. They should understand." A signal light above the arena entrance turned green. It was time. Megan walked out onto the arena floor alone. The crowd went silent. She was small compared to the vast space around her, a single human figure standing on smooth stone under bright artificial lights. Above her, thousands of aliens looked down with curiosity, skepticism, and in some cases, open hostility. She raised her hand, and the gates behind her opened. The Garrux emerged. A wave of reactions swept through the crowd. Gasps, shouts of alarm. Some spectators actually stood up, ready to flee despite being safely separated from the arena floor by force fields and thick barriers. 6. Apex predators from a death world walked out into the open. Their scales gleamed under the lights. Their claws clicked against the stone floor. Their fangs dripped with venom as they surveyed the vast space. And the crowd of potential prey watching. Then they walked to Megan and sat down around her in a perfect circle. The arena went completely silent. Megan began the demonstration. She used simple hand signals, the same kind she had developed while working with Earth predators. Sit, stand, move forward, move back, circle left, circle right. The Garrux responded to each command instantly, their movements coordinated and precise. She walked across the arena, and they followed in formation. She stopped, and they stopped. She raised her hand, and they stood on their hind legs. An impressive display of control and balance from creatures that weighed nearly 1,000 pounds each. Finally, she pointed at a target dummy on the far side of the arena. The Alpha Garrux launched itself forward with explosive speed, crossing the distance in seconds and tearing the dummy apart with its claws and fangs. When Megan raised her hand again, the creature stopped immediately and returned to her side. Controlled aggression. Directed violence. A weapon that could be aimed and recalled. Megan turned to face the primary observation box, where Admiral Zien Korath watched. The Admiral was an insectoid creature, larger than any of the other aliens present, with multiple limbs and compound eyes that reflected the arena lights. For 300 years, Megan called out, a voice amplified by the arena's sound system. The Coalition has treated creatures like these as nothing more than killing machines. You lock them in cages. You starve them. You release them when you want something dead, and then you lock them up again. She gestured at the Garrux around her. But these are living beings with intelligence and social structures. They have hierarchies and relationships. They can learn. They can be trained. They can even be loyal if you earn their loyalty. She paused, letting her words settle over the crowd. Humans learned this lesson a long time ago. On Earth, we share our planet with thousands of predator species. Many of them could kill us easily. But we don't just avoid them or destroy them. We study them. We understand them. We understand them. We work with them. She reached out and placed her hand on the Alpha's head. The creature leaned into her touch like a massive, deadly pet. You called humans weak because we have no natural weapons. No claws, no venom, no scales, but our weapon is understanding. We survive by learning how other creatures think. We became the dominant species on Earth, not by being the strongest, but by being the smartest. Admiral Zien Korath rose from her seat. Her voice, translated by the arena systems, echoed across the vast space. How many humans possess this ability? Not all of us, Megan admitted. It requires training and natural talent. But there are thousands of professional animal handlers on Earth. Trainers, researchers, wildlife experts. We've spent our entire civilization learning how to coexist with dangerous creatures. The Admiral considered this. Her compound eyes flickered as she processed the implications. The Coalition has always viewed humans as useful but expendable soldiers. Perhaps we have been looking at the wrong skills. Megan smiled slightly. On Earth, we have a saying. We called Commander Vrex chicken. He thought it was an insult. But chickens are animals that humans domesticated thousands of years ago. We control them completely. When a human calls something chicken, we're not saying we're afraid of it. We're saying we're the ones in charge. She looked directly at the observation box, where Rex was watching the demonstration from his detention cell via broadcast. She knew he could see her. She knew he finally understood what he had underestimated. Rex thought he was throwing me to the monsters. He didn't realize that on Earth, humans are the ones who tame monsters. The demonstration ended. The crowd remained silent for a long moment. Then, slowly something unexpected happened. Aliens began to stand. First a few, then dozens, then hundreds. They were not applauding in the human sense, but their own species equivalents, clicking, humming, flashing lights from bioluminescent organs, respect, recognition, a shift in how they viewed the small, soft creatures called humans. Kira Voss met Megan at the arena exit. She was smiling broadly. Coalition Command has created a new position, Kira said. Beast Management Division. They want you to lead it. Full officer rank. Authority to recruit and train others. Megan looked back at the Garrux, who were being guided to their new, much larger containment area. The Alpha paused at the entrance and looked back at her. She raised her hand in a small wave, and the creature made that soft purring sound before disappearing inside. I'll need assistance, Megan said. Danny Shaw, for one. And I want to bring more trainers from Earth. People who know what they're doing. Don, Kira said. Whatever you need. Danny appeared beside them, still looking slightly overwhelmed by everything that had happened. I can't believe this is real. A week ago, I was cleaning floors and hoping not to get killed. Now I'm assistant to the head of a new coalition division. Megan put a hand on his shoulder. The galaxy underestimated us, Danny. All of us. They looked at humans and saw soft skin and dull teeth and assumed we were prey. She started walking toward her new assignment, Danny and Kira following behind. They forgot something important. On Earth, we grew up surrounded by predators. We learned their languages. We earned their respect. We became the most dangerous species on our planet, without ever growing claws. She glanced back one more time at the arena where thousands of aliens were still discussing what they had witnessed. The galaxy is about to learn what humans have always known. The deadliest predator isn't the one with the biggest fangs. It's the one holding the leash,